All right, folks, we have one final score earlier today. Kiowa defeats Roth 1-0 in a pitcher's duel. Cowboys get the win, giving up only two singles and one walk on the day. So congratulations to Kiowa. As a beat writer here just informed earlier, I was not aware of this. It is their first state quarterfinal win since 1987. So that is something to be proud of if you are a Kiowa Cowboy. Roth's season started in a real lull. They began the season 4-10 and then went 9-5 to actually win districts and upset Leedy, who defeated Stewart. And Roth's season comes to an end, unable to get base runners on in the seventh inning. Our next game up features number one rated Fort Cobb Broxton versus perennial powerhouse Asher. All right, forthcoming will be the starting announcement and reserves for the coaches. I was unable to determine who is going to be home, so we may have an encoder panel flip and switch. In effect, for the seeding today, everything thrown off with the Stewart loss to Leedy and then Ross victory there. The 4-5 game originally would have involved different teams. So, as is, instead of Roth being the 8 seed, it is Asher that draws the unenviable task of taking on first seed Fort Cobb Broxton. So, as I alluded to earlier, some firsts in the tournament that we wanted to share with you. Kiowa gets their first quarterfinal win since 1987. Mulhall, Orlando, their first ever tournament appearance. And Calumet, their third ever and third consecutive trip to state, trying to get their first ever state semifinal win should they be victorious today and tomorrow. And now your starting lineups. Keep your eye on Mr. Willits, potentially a player of the state. I'm talking all classes, ladies and gentlemen. If you haven't seen Eli play, his older brother Jackson is at OU right now with his dad Reggie, a coaching and playing legend in the state of Oklahoma. Eli is just now a junior, and every periodical in the state of Oklahoma has him ranked in the top 10, regardless of Class B to 6A. And he very well could end up being the prospect to go number one for Oklahoma. And ladies and gentlemen, that is your starting lineup, coaches and reserves for the Fort Cobb Broxton Mustangs. Second tenure for Coach Roulette here at Asher. The Asher Indians setting the gold standard in much of the 60s, 70s, 80s, and 90s, toppling the Bing Dynasty, winning a whopping 45 state titles. They lead every baseball team in America. Here he comes, ladies and gentlemen, Brock the Rock. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are 2 minutes early, so major props and kudos to Edmond Santa Fe's PA. He has kept us on track. We've got back-to-back games. They're going to start on time, and as I said earlier, not to stick a finger in the Class A folks' face, but we're going to have our second game start before their first starts over at Edmond Memorial High School. That game now slotted for 2 o'clock, and it'll feature number 1 rated Oaktaha versus number 8 seed Preston. I'd like to thank Simply Falafel, Hidalgo's Mexican restaurant, Fort Cobb Storage, Liba Chiropractic, the Asher Baseball Boosters, the Camera Guys, Oklahoma Aztec, Shawnee Lighting, Jake and Cassie Cole, Scott and Billy Hamilton, and the Heart of Oklahoma Insurance Jennifer Mandrell. Just a reminder, this is a state baseball playoff, and as a result, the following public service announcement is being issued on behalf of the Oklahoma Secondary School Activities Association. Activity programs are primarily for the student participants. The purpose of this baseball game is to provide positive learning experiences and opportunities for personal growth of our student athletes. The completion is being conducted according to the rules of the Oklahoma Secondary School Activities Association. Players, coaches, officials, and spectators can and are expected to assist in the promotion and achievement of good sportsmanship ideals by taking personal responsibility. Keep this contest at a high level of fair, clean, wholesome competition. Good luck to the Fort Collins Broxton Mustangs and the Preston Pirates. You're watching Prep Nation TV coverage of Game 2 action here, the 2023 Class B state quarterfinals. And the leadoff walk for Asher. And he throws down the bunt, and he's going to advance the base runner to second. With the wild throw, though, safe at first, safe at third. Fort Cobb Broxton with the throwing error, so we will code that as a E1. Just wild on the release. He spun backwards and actually got a funky angle to pick up the ball. And as a result, he kind of threw it over his right shoulder instead of maintaining the trajectory with his left. So a funky kind of throw over to first base, and it is now runners on the corners for Asher. Fires to second, one hops it. He's going to be out. Oh, we called him safe at home. Just beat the throw. 1-0 lead, Asher. So it is back to back for Fort Cobb, man. Safe at first, safe at second, safe at home. Asher taking it to the defending state champs right off the get go. Wild throw, another base runner advances. He's in third. So back to back plays. Asher has a runner in scoring position. Folks, unless I'm mistaken, we're already looking at a pitching change here. Not even one out, one run scored, one came across, and now on third. So only the third batter faced, and already a pitching change for the number one rated Mustangs. Got to say, I'm very surprised, somewhat with the starting pitcher assigned, but more so on the length of time he was given to get out of the jam. Dale not looking, or I should say, Coach Bellamy, I've known Dale for years, not looking to give up, just give me runs here. But at this particular point, man, Asher's got a ton of options to score this run. Wait for a wild throw, hit it deep, beat out a throw, just don't hit it to third or shortstop for a potential toss out at home plate. Blaine Davis, the state champion winning pitcher for Fort Cobb Roxton this past spring against Roth. As I stated earlier in the broadcast, Roth senior class that left, 7 starters. They won 5 state titles in baseball, 2 state runner-ups, and with the exception of the spring 2020 season that was canceled, they would have been prohibitive favorites to win 6 out of 8 state titles, 6 in a row, and then finishing runner-up back-to-back. The irony of it is Roth beat Fort Cobb Broxton 2 consecutive finals. Now Fort Cobb Broxton has defeated Roth 2 consecutive finals. So that streak will snap for opportunities for the last 8 state championship games. Right now, only Fort Cobb Broxton can advance after Roth loses today 1-0 versus Kiowa. And we have got base runners on first and third. So Dave is coming in relief, has his work cut out for him. No outs. Mustangs will be looking to turn to second and first, or at least get a lead runner at home. The Ed Memorial seedings for Class A. First game off the bat, the 11 a.m. game got postponed 3 times. Now it's supposed to start at 2 o'clock. Excuse me, featuring Oklahoma and Preston. For those that are curious, full rosters will be announced in and out very quickly. The batting practice time slots stay the same, so the top team 2 hours prior, bottom team hour and a half before. So if there's anybody that enjoys that type of stuff, then you will know that will be at Edmond Memorial for the A teams. Here at in Santa Fe for B, we will not have any early starts. So a potential double play taken off the board, run scores, and it is an E3 sac RBI. Base runner advances from third home, first to second. 2-0 lead Asher. Infield pop-up fly. Looks like the first baseman is going to give way to the second baseman, and he does. So it is an infield pop-up, 2 down. Well, it took some time to get rid of the clouds and the rain kind of ominous feel to the ballpark when we got here. It has noticeably bumped in temperature. I think it was like 62 when I first got here. Felt pretty chilly. It was totally overcast. All of these clouds you're seeing over in left field and center field, you could not see open sky anywhere there. And on the flip side, right field and the parking lot looks 1,000 times better than it did pulling up. It had a rain cloud that I bet you stretched all the way past Edmond going toward Perry. I mean, it was massive. And so a turn of events here for the day. Hopefully, Class A can get cranked up and get going. We will give you updates in that game throughout. Oh, no. There's one thing when you outfox the base runner, but when you outsmart your own player, that's never good. So, fortunately, Eli Willits with reflexes like a panther caught that ball. He misses that, and you're potentially looking at a player rounding third or staying at least there. So, heads up play for Eli. In for the strike. It's good to see the Kiowa Cowboys still here. Casual wear still rocking their hats. And the base runner on, not a start at all that Fort Cobb was hoping for. They look very vulnerable, out of sorts, not clicking. And Asher is about to burn through the entire lineup here in the first inning. Those watching, please click subscribe on our home channel. It's free. There's no cost or obligation. It will prioritize content whenever you're inside YouTube's app, where we store our content feed for highlights, interviews, plays of the game, and then also live streams. Those are organized under playlists A to Z for any team you'd like to see. I believe we have about 312 listed, 315 somewhere in there. Ring him up, strikeout. So Fort Cobb Broxton gives up two. We'll head to the bottom of the first. It'll be a 2-0 deficit. Mustangs coming up to bat. You're watching Prep Nation TV. So there is the mystery solved. Fort Cobb's pitcher gives up 8 pitches total and 2 runs. Somebody brought it to my attention that there's some game Saturday of some notable relevance. I think it's called the Red River Rivalry. So I only will say one thing. Well, I'm going to say two things. One, steaks never taste so good unless it's a schooner grilling a longhorn. That's the first statement, number one. Number two, in the famous words of former coach Barry Switzer, hang half 100 on them. That is all. Consider that your PNTV public service announcement. Normally we'd be doing PA for the players, but since the public service announcer here at Edmond Santa Fe does such a good job so that it's not duplicated, I'm actually not sure. I haven't listened in on the feed live yet to see if you can hear him or not. We're in another room with the door shut, but occasionally we will list them. OSSAA has Fort Cobb number one and Calumet number two. For the past 2 weeks, though, Prep Nation rankings, we have had them tied 1-1. Those of you that haven't seen Calumet play yet, you're in for a treat. They are exceptionally fundamentally sound, a methodical batting lineup, and exceptionally good pitching and defense. So we'll see how the Chieftains do in their game. That'll be your next matchup, Calumet versus Mulhall, Orlando. And he walks him. So the Mustangs return the favor. They get the leadoff runner on first. Well, this is business as usual for the Mustangs. They're used to having Willits on to start the game. They are not used to starting the game in a 2-0 hole. Uncontested stolen base. Boy, he was halfway into his circle for third. He had already got about a 5 or 6 lead stride before the ball even got picked up by the catcher. Coach Roulette throwing his big today. The way Asher looks at this, you've only got one shot at it. You got to throw your top pitcher. You got to get the win today. Does you no good to pitch a 2 or a 3 here when you face the number one rated team. It's a given. You're going to have to throw your number one against probably their 3 or 4. Fort Cobb is a prohibitive favorite. However, not playing like it thus far. That wild throw is going to make it a ball game, and Eli Willits' hustle scores in from second base. 2-1 lead. So the Mustangs make them pay. Pitcher's got to pay more attention than that. If you see the wild pitch going and Eli as fast as he is, you've got to be there at home plate waiting. So heads up play for Willits. McAdoo will have a 3-1 favorable pitch count. Squares up for bunt, takes ball. So back-to-back base runners now on for Fort Cobb Broxton. Well, buckle up. Davis, the replacement pitcher, in for Isaac Sankatoy. He only made 8 pitches, the sophomore. Blaine is senior, one of the vital cogs of the Mustangs program, in large part helping them to 3 consecutive state titles in Class A and back-to-back for Class B. Ball gets away. Catcher does a much better job trapping it and flicking it off to the side to keep it in play. If there are 2 surprises for the tournament, I would say the biggest surprise in Class B was definitely Roth taking the 4-5 seed. Short of that regional win, we're going to have a fielder's choice 6-3. Oh, double play. Nicely done. 6 on assist and then throws him out at first. So 2 down. That was a huge upset. Roth would have been the 12 seed and the lowest ranked team entering the tournament, so they would have slotted for this game right now against Fort Collins Broxton, and it even would have changed the Kiowa matchup with who they played as well. It most likely would have been Stewart. Surprise in the Class A bracket. I myself personally was shocked to see that Preston got the 8th seed. The Tigers not only have 2 wins over Amber Pocasset, they have a win over Dale as well, and a couple of other really high quality wins for head coach Ryan Hudson. So I was very surprised that they were slotted for the 1-8 matchup against Oklahoma. Sometimes when teams play in regionals, or they're in the same regional, I should say, it's going to be an easy out, 4-3 ground out. So we'll head to the top of the second inning. It'll be 2-1 Asher with the Indians coming up to bat. Getting back to the original thought, if teams are in the same regionals, traditionally they are not allowed to play each other in the first matchup. They almost always do get slotted on the same side of the bracket, though. And so this year there were some exceptions to the rule, but very surprised. Preston's definitely better than the number 8 team in the tournament for sure. Boy, that statement just brings out the driver in you, doesn't it, folks? Ford, the best in Oklahoma. Okay, prep shout out to the Edmond Santa Fe staff. A, beat the rain yesterday, getting the tarp on the field. B, continued to maintain the field and check on it through the night and early this morning. And C, the cool addition of the baseballs welcoming all 8 teams by name. You should be able to see about 6 of them in camera view right here. But all 8 teams in the field: Asher, Mulhall, Orlando, Roth, Stewart, Calumet, Fort Cobb, Broxton, Tupelo, and Stewart all recognized, or I should say Asher as well on that, but all of them recognized. So kudos to the coaching staff and field crew that came up with that. I think it's a great idea. Kiowa was the team that I messed up there. Sorry about that. Check swing goes. Now, if I'm a betting man, I'm going to say keep an eye on 35. Total pitch count for Blaine Davis. I would be shocked if Coach Bellamy burns an arm potentially for a 1 or a 2 pitcher today. So keep an eye on the pitch count for him. If they should regain the lead, it would not shock me to see him exit through 2 or top third, some combination thereof. And strikes him out. As the announcer stated earlier in the lineups, Asher enters the tournament 16-13. According to our PNTV metrics, they have the second strongest strength of schedule, trailing only the Roth Tigers. Asher played an absolute just who's who of Class B and A teams, starting the season against Barnum, and then Caney, Roth, Kiowa, Stewart, Union City, Tupelo, Latta, Bing, Boswell, Calera, Ripley, Stonewall, Ampo, Dale, and then Hammond twice, and Calumet. So they'll have the actual, I don't know if you would call it privilege or just problem of being the only team in the tournament to actually play both Fort Collins Broxton and Calumet, the number 1 and number 2 teams. They also played number 3 Tupelo, so when you throw in Roth and Kiowa in the 4 or 5 slot, Asher's played them all. So that 16 and 13 record kind of comes with an asterisk over on the side of the 13. And a walk for Asher, so back-to-back innings, they get a base runner on. So as far as the entire field goes, Asher can't play themselves, and they didn't play Mulhall Orlando, and that's it. They've played everybody else. Nice timely single, base runner on, and back-to-back innings, Asher with 2 base runners on. Indians trying to pad their lead. It got cut in half by the stolen base. Check swing goes foul. For those who are curious, in the Kiowa and Roth game, would have been a routine 5-3 ground out. Pitcher puts the wrong side of, the third baseman puts the wrong side of the glove down. Ball trickles down the line after ricocheting off the base, scores the run, and instead of potentially going extra innings, it is a Kiowa 1-0 victory. All right, batter steps out of the box, back in. 1-2 pitch count will resume. The inside corner, 2-2. If you're here in town for a while, you don't have anything to do, I'm going to give you 2 names. Simply Falafel, Majid and staff are awesome. If you're not into Lebanese food, I get it, but if you've never tried it, you've got to do it, especially the desserts. It is an absolutely killer cafe. They'll take good care of you. Please go and see them. And then Hidalgo's Mexican Restaurant, a fixture of the Edmond community, and now more. I'd like to thank both Majid and Juan for their support of Prep Nation TV coverage. 2 outs, check swings, and he's going to go for the strike. I think we're going to have a baseball replacement here. Check swing again. Seeing a lot of that with the batters today, really just waiting late and pulling it. So we'll see if somebody is eventually able to kind of line that up along right field line and just drive it out to the wall. Sidearm motion for Davis, very distinct. Brings back memories of Charlie Hoff, Tim Wakefield, the Necro brothers back in the day. Even though he's not a knuckler, he definitely has that similar throwing motion. Evens up the count, so we'll have 2 balls, 2 strikes, 2 outs, and 2 base runners on. It is a 2-1 lead for Asher. Check swing doesn't go. Base runners will steal. And Asher once again with a runner in scoring position. Ball is hit over to the second baseman. Easy 4-3 ground out. So the Indians will strand 2. We'll head to the bottom of the second inning. Fort Cobb Broxton coming up to bat. They trail Asher 2-1. Game 2 action of the 2023 Class B state quarterfinal games at Edmond Santa Fe High School. It's been very rare this year that Fort Cobb Broxton has trailed, but they have. They entered the tournament 27-5 on the season. All 5 losses coming in Class A play. They split the season series against Okarche. They won the first game 7-6 and then lost the last game 2-1, so almost identical to Calumet in that regard. Then they lost back-to-back games against Tuska and Rattan, by far the worst game of the season for them, 13-1 loss. Rattan, likewise the number 2 rated Class A team, dropped a surprising extra inning game against Red Oak 8-7. Other than that, it's been business as usual for Fort Cobb Broxton, victorious over Amber Pocasset, Latta, Sterling, Sentinel, a one-time top 20 team, Canute, another top 20 team that did finally crack the poll. They finished basically in our poll as well. Roth, victory over Burden, Lokeepus Sickles, Lomega, and Moss, another victory over Canute, a really scrappy Navajo bunch. A couple of games that they played actually, 3 against Amber Pocasset, 3 against Canute, so I should clarify that. And then 2 wins over Sterling in the same Labor Day tournament that we broadcast, 3-zip and 8-zip. Victors over Visai, victorious over Dale, victorious over Latta again, and then in district play, winners by a shutout over Eric, Chattanooga, and then Smithville and Mulhall, Orlando. A correction, though, on their record, they are 26-5, not 27-5. They do have a duplicate game listed for Dale on September 15th, so the accurate record for Fort Cobb Broxton is 26-5. Now coming to the plate, the first baseman, number 7, Caleb Throwout. Brawl. Another base runner on for Fort Cobb Broxton, so they pick up in the second inning where they left off in the first. They're looking to tie this game or take their first lead. Asher had a great start to the game, knocked out the starting pitcher after only 8 pitches, forced Fort Cobb Broxton to go to Davis early. On the mound for Asher is number 21, Brogan Colwell. K-time, strike him out. Pop up, that's going to stay close enough to where the right fielder is going to give it a shot, just can't quite chase it down. So we do have an update. The Preston Oaktaha game has started finally, and there is a 1-2 pitch count against Preston. Herring up to bat for the Pirates, so he strikes out, grounds out 4-3. So that game now has started, the original 11 a.m. game at Edmond Memorial High School, 0-0 Oaktaha Preston. Falls in the gap, and just like that, Fort Cobb Broxton takes a 3-2 lead. RBI, 2 RBI double. And just like that, Fort Collins Broxton busts open the game, scoring four straight runs in safe at second. Safe at home after the RBI doubles. We have back to back doubles and three runs come across the plate. Out. Oh, he was out. So a big second inning for Fort Collins Broxton after a great start to the game for Asher. So the teams trade barbs, and now it is 2 runs top of the first for Asher and three now in the bottom of the second for Fort Collins Broxton. They now have the 4-2 lead with 2 runners on and in scoring position again on the corners, first and third. Those of you that are watching the feed, thank you for tuning in today. If you haven't given us a subscribe, please do so. just click subscribe. It is free. There's no cost. There's no application. There's no process. You don't get dinged. You don't get called. We don't run a credit check. We don't even ask for your firstborn children. It just prioritizes content whenever you're in the app. You'll be more likely to see what we produce, and it helps us with sponsors. If we could get more followers and watchers, then it makes it easier to find people willing to step up to the plate and sponsor traditional feeds. Well, the first game was keep you on your seats, just compelling, building suspense on all right, who's going to finally get a hit, who's going to finally get on base, who's going to finally score. And we got the answer early. Kiowa, one base runner on third the entire game, wins the game on an error. Roth unable to get base runners much past second. That's another RBI. He's going to score 2 runs on a blooping single. And folks, it is all Fort Cobb Broxton now, up 6-2 over Asher. Another hit, this one out to left field. It's not that Fort Cobb Broxton is just blasting the seams off the ball. They're just putting it in areas where nobody is remotely close to being there. And so as a result, had that one not hit the grass and just kind of stopped so quickly, potentially would have given the guy at second an opportunity to steal into third. Head coach David Roulette for Asher heading to the mound. Looks like we're going to have a pitching change here, but at least at worst case, it's going to be a pitch conference. Coach, if he comes out one more time in the inning, that'll automatically trigger that. But great start to the game for Brogan. Um, Pitched very well up until this inning, but he has been hit and hit hard often and throughout the entire field. 3 singles, 2 doubles, and counting. So a bad start to the game for Fort Cobb Broxton. No sugarcoating it, no way to get around it. But they have come roaring back after giving up 2 runs in the top of the first to score 6 unanswered. We resume action back in. Update on the Yoktah and Preston game. In the bottom of the first inning, Tigers take a 1-0 lead. There are two outs. They have a base runner on second. And the batter at the plate, Mr. Christian, with a 1-2 pitch count. So Oktah 1, Preston 0. Perfectly positioned ball. You cannot defend that. It's going to be another RBI. Base runner is going to go all the way from first to third, and it is a 7-2 lead for Fort Cobb Broxton. Just a reminder, this is a OSSAA sanctioned state tournament game. And as such, role models are more important than ever in today's society. You can serve as a role model for others the next time you display good sportsmanship. Let's start now. Good sports are winners, so remember, be a good sport and act properly. Everyone appreciates the good values portrayed by acts of sportsmanship. Sportsmanship, it's everybody's responsibility. Do the right thing. That message brought to you by half of Oklahoma Secondary School Activities Association. And Asher finally gets the strikeout. We'll head to the top of the second inning. Your score now, Fort Cobb Broxton 7, Asher 2. You're watching Prep Nation TV coverage of Game 2 action here at Edmond Santa Fe High School for the 2023 Class B state quarterfinals. Oklahoma Preston, your score through one inning. Tigers 1, Pirates 0. Don't know if anyone else has ever noticed this or not, but equipped with every car, whether it be a truck, SUV, or car, is the feature of the short horn. That is a public service announcement brought to you on behalf of the University of Texas. Short horns. And it's put in play. So back-to-back runners on for Asher here in the top of the third. Third pitching change in the game for Fort Collins Broxton. I told you that Coach Bellamy would use Davis sparingly. As soon as he got close to 35 pitches, he would pull him because he is not going to burn the arm today, especially now with a 5-run lead. He ends with 45, so he will have him to pitch this weekend. So Asher has two runners on, no outs here in the top of the third. They've lost a commanding 2-0 lead. They've given up 7 consecutive runs now, and the Indians need to get back on the scoring board here. This isn't your standard garden variety pitcher change where he's been dusted up, busted up maybe, and imminently a run to scoring, so the coach is trying to keep that from getting worse. It is a strictly pitch count change and keeping him for a potential showdown, number one, number two, Saturday with Calumet. You would think that is the thinking behind the move. Can't afford to lose the first game, and for that matter, have your first, second, third, fourth, or fifth best pitchers on the bench. You got to win the first one, but you have to also think long term as well. And strikeout. In safe at first. Nope. A is going to be back at home plate. Correction. And another strikeout. Gets him on the throw out. Nicely done by the shortstop. Asher strands two for Cobb Broxton. Well, head to the bottom of the third inning. They lead it 7-2 over Asher. You're watching Prep Nation TV. Our second of four games today. If everything, knock on wood, stays true to form here and we don't have any rain delays, inclement weathers, extended games, etc., we will be looking at a toss out at approximately 4 p.m. for number 2 seed Calumet versus the 7 seed Mulhall Orlando. The Panthers will be making their first tournament appearance ever at state. And then to wrap up tonight's games at approximately 6:30 p.m. is the 3-6 slot matchup between the Tupelo Tigers and the Stewart Hornets. As I alluded to earlier in today's game, had Roth not upset Leedy, and to that end, had Leedy not upset Stewart, your game would have been right now Fort Cobb Broxton versus Roth if Roth had been the regional runner up. As a result, Stewart drops out of the 4-5 game and they slot to number 6. So it is a strikeout for Asher. New pitcher in for the Indians, looking to do some damage here. Correction, that's still Mr. Colwell. My apologies. Three straight innings that the Mustangs have had at least one base runner on. And safe at second with the uncontested stolen base. And safe at first, safe at third. And bases now advancing first, second, and third loaded up for the Mustangs. So things have gone from great to bad to now borderline catastrophe for Asher here. They cannot afford to give up some kind of a massive triple, double home run, anything along those lines. Game still within reach, a manageable 5-run deficit, but you give up much more, and this is going to be on the verge of being a done deal. Throws it to first. Tags, unassist tags, so the sack RBI scores the eighth run. Takes the base runner off path. So now 8 unearned runs scored and earned runs in combination, but all backbreaker. Oh, so close. That one I didn't get the camera around in time, so I apologize. I'm going to try to give you more of an angle of that field. We've been trying to pull back so that we don't have view of people's heads. Had a couple of people earlier standing up with umbrellas as well. So we'll pull back a little bit so you can get a better view of the field. If we have a base runner plays back and play on first, we'll swing back around for you there. Nice pitch, 1-2. Blaine Bellamy, the nephew of head coach Dale Bellamy at the plate. Nice little hook swing there, all the way out to right field, and that'll do it. Mustangs can score, but they strand a couple. We'll head to the top of the fourth inning with the Indians up to bat. They trail 8-2. You're watching Prep Nation TV coverage. Thank you for everyone who is tuning in today. I would like to thank the following people and businesses for making this possible. Are you ready? Hidalgo's Mexican Restaurant, Edmond, and more. Simply Falafel in Edmond, Oklahoma. Fort Cobb Storage and RV Park in Fort Cobb. Asher Baseball Boosters. Camera Guys. Oklahoma Aztec. Shawnee Lighting. Jake and Cassie Cole. Scott and Billy Hamilton. And Heart of Oklahoma Insurance, Jennifer Mandel. Mandrell, correction. If you're in Edmond today or tomorrow, go to Simply Falafel or Hidalgo's. Trust me when I tell you, if you're into Lebanese food and new things, you got to try the desserts and you definitely got to try some of their appetizer specials. But absolutely awesome food for Majid. I've known him for probably close to 10 years now. He is a good dude. He'll take care of you. And then Hidalgo's, enough said. Awesome Mexican food. You got to go buy one. He'll take care of you. Let them know that Prep Nation sent you. They might even charge you more. A joke, of course. I'd like to thank everybody that's watching today that has clicked subscribe. Thank you so much. If you haven't done so already, please do so. There's no cost. Until we go to our own site and content delivery network, we'll continue to do all live content here on the YouTube channel. And then when we switch over to the site and then an app, we'll be checking into iCloud storage for some content live and or recent, and then moving and storing over to YouTube. So the channel for YouTube will remain free. There will be a subscription on the site and app, though, for additional coverage and services, something that will allow us to underwrite more Monday and Tuesday games throughout the state, not always having to have a business sponsor. And least but not most importantly, upgrading some camera equipment so that we can do special features like zoom ins, multiple camera angle feeds, rewinds during live play, and also put up graphics for batters, players, and or athletes. As the old saying goes, it takes money to make money. So if you want to jump in on the action, it'll be a $20 annual subscription if you pay through Cash App, $Prep Nation. You can link your checking account, banking account, credit card, debit card, things like that. And then the content service will be $5 a month. You can cancel any time, or you can just continue to ride it out indefinitely. But please subscribe. It is free. And anytime you use the YouTube app, keep in mind you can cast it to your TV. You can watch it on iPads, iPhones, Androids, Samsungs, Galaxies, PlayStation, PS4, Xbox, Kindles, anything that has data or Wi-Fi connectivity. Ball is put in play out to center field and is a single for the pitcher, Mr. Caldwell. Nicely done by Asher. And so 3 of 4 innings, Asher has had a base runner on, just unable to score since the top of the first. Courtesy runner at first base. This is my favorite player. I'm telling you, folks, he's a dog. He will get on base and he will advance running. He may be small. Look at the size there. But I've seen him throw down bunts, sack bunts, hit singles, seen him steal multiple bases. So I am thrilled to death to see him in this game. Cross hit, dives and misses it. So it's going to be a single, 2 runners on for Asher. All right, things are starting to pick up now for the Indians here in the top of the 4th inning. It's been a quiet couple innings for them. They definitely need the runs and need the momentum back in their favor. Everything pretty much lined perfectly up for them in the first inning. Wild pitches, errors, hits. They knocked out the starting pitcher with only 8 pitches total. They forced Fort Kyle Broxton to throw 3 pitchers today. Isaac Sun and Takoi getting the start, and then briefly in 2 innings of relief, Blaine Davis coming in and out after 45 pitches. Sounds like we got another car that somebody has either hit or somebody's trying to get into. Blaine Bellamy on the mound now for the Mustangs, being the third aforementioned pitcher. Ball gets away. Stolen bases in safe. I told you when Brock came in, he was going to do some damage. Mr. Bronk Jones, Bronk as in Bronco, he is on third after stealing second on hit, in effect, and then stealing third. So he is in position now here for Asher to do some damage, possibly on a deep drive. It's going to take something that's a hit or an error because any fly out will mean stranded base runners once again. Strikeout. Asher unable to make Fort Cobb Broxton pay. We'll head to the bottom of the fourth inning. Score remains 8-2 Fort Cobb. We'll now give you an update on the ongoing Oaktahaw and Preston game, folks. Buckle up. Oaktahaw jumped out to a 1-0 lead in the first inning, and Preston has rallied to take the lead 3-1. They lead in the bottom of the third inning with the Tigers up to bat. It is Oaktahaw trailing Preston 3-1. Three unassist tag at first, and one down. Your score in the Oaktaw Preston original 11 a.m. game that started at 2. Through 3 full innings, Preston 3, Oaktaw 1. So number 1, Oaktaw in trouble after number 1, Fort Cobb Broxton struggled early on here. So goes to show the old saying, that's why they play them. Base runner steals in safe at second. We may be now having a pitching change as Coach David Roulette heads back out to the mound. He did so in the first inning, in the second inning as well. And that'll be it. So it'll be the second pitching change for Asher. 3 now for Fort Cobb Broxton. So now batting, or correction, now pitching for Asher, number 8, Carson Timms. Number 6, Kelby Fowler on the mound. So a correction there. Preston is threatening to score again in the top of the fourth inning against number 1 Oklahoma. So we have an upset alert. Base runner on third. Mr. Kennedy hits a triple. There are 2 outs. 3-1 Preston over Oklahoma in the top of the fourth inning. That game was supposed to start. People who are from Oklahoma know what supposed to means. Supposed to start, supposedly going to start at 11 a.m., got pushed back 3 times to 2, and now we are on the verge of halfway through our game. We could potentially catch that game and have 2 finals before the first game there even goes final. Preston hits into a 4-3 ground out, so they strand the base runner. Oklahoma will be up to bat in the bottom of the fourth inning coming up. So due to the pitching changes here, Oklahoma Preston has caught us as far as time. And still second and third. To the shortstop. Safe at first, scores the run. RBI single, 9-2 ball game for Fort Collins Broxton. That now makes 9 unanswered runs in the ball game. In for the strike. And pop up. Oh, major, major gaff. Got to get those. And strikeout. Okay. This one is hooking foul, and he snags it along the wall. So a nice catch by the right fielder for Asher. We will head to the top of the fifth inning. Your score: Fort Kai Broxton 9, Asher 2. Score update for the Preston and Oaktahaw game. It is now 3-2. Oklahoma has scored a run and loaded the bases up in the bottom of the fourth inning. They jumped out to a 1-0 lead in the bottom of the first. Preston came storming back to score three. And now number one Oklahoma trying to do what number one Fort Scott Broxton is doing here in Class B, which is come from behind and take the lead. All right, the fourth pitcher of the day. Shallow fly to shortstop. Gets the sun out of his eyes, able to zero in on it fairly quickly. Oklahoma scores one in the bottom of the fourth. They strand the bases loaded. That game is heading to the top of the fifth inning, and Preston Pirates will be up to bat. They lead Oklahoma 3-2. Just a reminder, following this game at approximately 4 p.m. will be the third game of the day featuring the Calumet Chieftains and the Mulhall Orlando Panthers. And the walk for Asher. So back to back innings. They get a runner on. Just haven't been able to get much luck getting someone across home plate since the top of the first. Preston is threatening to score once again in the top of the fifth inning against Oklahoma. Base runners on second and third. No outs. Andrew Overstreet with the foul ball. 2-2 pitch count. Hits it to shortstop. 6-4 on the ground out. Just misses the double play. So we'll have a fielder's choice 6-4. Oh, deep hit to left field. This one's going to hang, though, and not drive. So it's a fly out to left fielder. Tough break for Asher. Tough break. We'll head to the bottom of the fifth inning with the Mustangs coming up to bat. You're watching Prep Nation TV coverage of the 2023 Class B State quarterfinal playoff games here at Edmond Santa Fe High School. And the leadoff walk for Fort Con Broxton once again. Update on the Preston Oaktahaw gang. An RBI single, fielder's choice, will be a 4-2 lead for Preston. Runners on first and third now instead of the bases loaded. The second time in the game that Preston has led number one Oaktahaw by 2 runs. And in safe at third. It is now a 5-2 lead for Preston. Base runners second and third. However, 2 outs now. And a whopping 2 RBI double makes it 7-2 Preston over Oaktahaw in the top of the 5th inning. So this one is definitely in upset alert mode. Wild Throw scores another run for Fort Cobb Broxton, make it 10-2. The inside pitch rolls all the way to the wall. And hit by pitch will put another base runner on. Head coach David Roulette will head out to the mound to confer with Bryce Lamb, number 10. Pitching change made, so right fielder will be coming in to take over on the mound. The third pitching change for Asher. There's been four, though, for Cobb Broxton. So Bryce Lamb will finish his part of the rotation with only 17 pitches. Oklahoma escapes the top of the fifth. Preston, though, taking it to number one, Oklahoma, 30-1 on their year. Preston, I said this earlier, they are not an opinion, just fact, they are not the number 8 seed in the tournament. So shame on whoever came up with this scenario because it absolutely ignored an entire season, not just one good victory in extra innings over Dale. I'm talking about multiple top 5, top 10 wins, quality wins. There was a reasonable strength of schedule for the Pirates. I really don't get how they fell as low as they did, considering the fact that their record is just a stellar 27-4. They have also a duplicate game on their record against Amber Pocasset in the regionals that's listed twice. But just kind of going over their resume, defeated Red Oak, who was rated at one time, defeated Ripley, defeated Dale. They did lose to Latta, but they defeated Stewart, Stonewall, Kiowa, which is a duplicate game as well, and they defeated Arapahoe Butler. And like I said, they beat Amber Pocasset twice. They beat Moss. And their only other loss, in addition to losing to Latta, was to Ripley in a 5-3 game, Oklahoma 7-2 in a prior matchup between the two schools, and then number 2 Worcester 11-5. Rips it to third, E5. Run scores 11-2, Fort Cobb, Broxton. It has been 11 unanswered runs by the number one rated Mustangs. Bottom of the fifth inning, Oaktaw has a base runner on. They trail 7-2 versus Preston. And steals easily at second. Just a reminder, our 4 p.m. game is probably going to be starting late now. We've been pretty good on time. Wild throw, another unearned run, make it 12-2 for Cobb Broxton. And guess what, folks? That's the ball game. Well, I just say that probably, and just like that, we are about 24, 25 minutes away. And so there is a good shot to get the game going around 4 o'clock, a little bit after. So your final score, Fort Cobb Broxton rallies from a 2-0 deficit to defeat Asher 12-2. Mustangs move on to the semifinals. It'll be Fort Cobb Broxton versus Kiowa tomorrow at 11 a.m. And then the evening games will determine the matchups for tomorrow's 1:30 p.m. game, weather permitting. And the next game up will be Calumet versus Mulhall, Orlando. Thank you for watching Prep Nation TV. We'll have an stream up about 5 to 10 minutes before the ball game starts for game number 3.